we are going to go back to our quiz app that we saw before. So all we have to do is just go to main and invoke the quiz app as such and run it, right? So this is what we should see. Remember, we can choose whether the statement here is true or false. So in this case, I'm going to say true. It says us at the bottom there, you can see whether it's true or false. So let's just continue, say, oh, looks like I'm just getting true. There we go, incorrect, and so forth. So it's a very simple application here, but we're going to use it to showcase theming. You'll notice in our main.dart, this is what we're calling our new material application here, and we're passing home property, which we return, which we pass the quiz app, right? So the quiz app, it's being called from our home.dart. So because we instead of a material app, if you remember correctly, there's other properties we can pass. So when we type theme, we have ThemeData.dark we can invoke, but we also have this ThemeData which allows us to customize our theme. Okay, so this is what we are going to look at. If you hit enter, and all of a sudden you're going to see a lot of properties, parameters we can pass. The same theme, no pun intended, that we've been seeing in Flutter is that everything is a widget. So you could call a theme data as also a widget per se, okay? Because we can pass all sort of things to customize the overall look of our application. You see, there's a lot of things we can pass. Obviously, we could exhaust all of these properties that we can pass to customize our application, or the theme of our application. But at some point, we need to decide what are the things we are going to customize. Even though we have the capability of customize all of these properties, doesn't mean we must do that. So it is always a good idea to pick what is it that we want to customize. There is also typography, so the text, how they look. There is Cupertino theme data. There is color scheme, dialog. There's all sort of things we can actually change here. All right. But let's go and see what this ThemeData or ThemeData class entails. So if I say Command and click or Control B for Windows and Linux, it takes us to the theme_data.dart, which is the file that comes in our library in the framework, Flutter framework that is. So it is indeed a factory class, and it tells us all of these properties that we can pass. So it has the list of all of them, all of these properties, which are the ones that we just saw earlier popping up. Okay, there's a lot of things here. So we can change the app bar theme, we can change the bottom app bar theme, we can change the color scheme of the entire application, the dialog theme. So essentially everything that governs our application, we can actually change theme-wise, that is. Now use this class to configure a theme widget. There we go again. A theme is indeed a widget. To obtain the current theme, use theme.of. We'll see that in a second. Okay, so enough theory. Let's go back to our code and see what we can do. Now, in this case here for our theme, let me go ahead and finalize there. Let's start with the brightness of our application. So I'm going to say brightness. There we go. I'm going to say brightness. It accepts a brightness object. We have these two main options. So brightness can be dark and brightness could be light. Let's start with the dark. Let's save this, and somehow the hot reload doesn't quite work. And so when we're changing themes, it's a good idea to actually rerun the entire application and see what's going to happen. So this is the original. And in a second here, notice that nothing really changed. The reason being is because we've already customized the child widget, meaning we are calling quiz app here. So that means this quiz app in this case here is the child of the parent, which is this guy here. Okay, so if we go to main, or actually go to home, let's delete this, we don't need that anymore. You notice inside of our scaffold here, we have app bar, and we have added this color for our background for our app bar, and we have the background color for the entire application. Okay, now let's go ahead and comment all of this out first. I'm going to save this and go back, and voila. You can see now, because we didn't customize the child, in this case, our quiz app, okay, which has been called here, it went ahead and took the parent theme data, which in this case, we said we want this brightness to be dark. Hence, notice all of a sudden, the entire application is now has now this brightness dark theme. If I come down here and I change this to light, because that's another option, let's see, light, save. Of course, I have to run again because we're changing the integrity of the whole application. Notice now everything changed now to this light color. Notice also if I comment this out, save and run, notice that nothing's going to change here. Everything's going to still be the same. Why is that? Well, this is happening because there has to be some sort of default configuration in anything, right? So especially in Flutter, the default configuration says that the brightness is always going to be light. That's why even if we don't pass anything, I'm going to comment all of this out to show you. Save and run again. Notice nothing's going to change. It's going to be the same blue and the white background or the light theme, because that is the default that comes with any Flutter application. Does it make sense? Let's uncomment this and run again so that we can see. Actually, let's go ahead and go back like this and change this to dark. That way we go back to the dark mode. And voila, there it is. So just like that, we're able to change the look of the entire application with only one line of code. That is the power of creating our own themes. Now that I hopefully have your attention, in the next video, we're going to continue exploring how to create our own themes slowly so that you really get the hang of it. But one thing I would like you to do, because by now you should know how to navigate in finding other properties to change. As you see, I just put comma there, and all of a sudden, these IDE gave us other options here, just like we saw before. So I want you to go ahead and play around with, for instance, primary color, primary swatch, and figure out what those are and what they mean. One of the things you can do, as always, you can always go to the web and take a look at things. So for instance, I want to know about ThemeData class. Well, you can go to api.flutter.dev and find the ThemeData class. This link here, I'll make this a little bit bigger. And voila, you are brought in here. So this is where we can find all of the classes that we want about Flutter. So if you have navigation, we can go and read more about alignment, align, alert dialog, any classes that we have in Flutter, we can come and look up and learn more about them. So in this case, we want to talk about the ThemeData class. It tells us here it holds the color and typography values for material design theme. You notice something is very interesting here in that this documentation here is indeed the same documentation. If you were to go command and click or control B, you see that is indeed the same thing that is pulled from here, all this text. Okay, so all of this is more or less the same as you will see in this documentation. Of course, here you would have a little bit more information, but the idea is the same. Okay, it gives us all the constructors, in this case the ThemeData, which we've seen before, which we just saw, past the brightness class or property here, and we change that. Notice we can also change the material color, that's primary swatch, and so forth. Okay, so it gives us all these properties we can pass and change the ThemeData, which in the result will change the theme of our entire application, as you very well saw. Go ahead and explore and see if you can change a few other properties in our ThemeData.